I left my home for the ocean over 2 years ago. I started out on a quest to face my fears and learn how to be free. I moved onto a tiny boat to learn the true meaning of strength. Life sometimes throws you curveballs, but never let anybody tell you what you can't do. In my life, I was faced with some adversity, and I had a choice to make. I could give up and go home, or I could keep fighting for my dreams. I chose to stay and fight, and I am so thankful. After 2 years of sea time and sailing all over, now I have my own little boat that I bought for $1. She's all mine, and I fixed her up all by myself.
New York City, baby.
Come along with me, learn how you can do it too. Find your own freedom and join your heart, just like I did. Welcome to Sailing Miss Lone Star. Due to the weather, Splashing Little Miss has been postponed, but the video's coming soon, so don't you worry. I hope you enjoyed this episode of How to Make Money While Living on a Boat. We talk about everything from money made on YouTube, Patreon, and Vimeo, to scrubbing the bottoms and chartering. Hello you guys, welcome back to Sailing Miss Lone Star. A lot of you wonder how we make money living on a boat. There's lots of ways to make money. You could be a trust fund baby.
Like no one I know in this boat.
You could be independently wealthy.
Like no one I know in this boat.
You could be, I don't know.
Circus.
You cannot be a circus performer on a boat. I guess maybe you can. Welcome to Sailing Miss Lone Star.
People usually ask me, what did you do before you went sailing around the world? I said, I used to work for the circus. You did? Yeah, what did you do?
Bearded lady.
I fed the monkeys. You did? Yeah. I work in society and I was feeding the monkey my tax money.
Very nice. You pay taxes in
South Africa? 42%, baby.
What do they do with the money?
That's the question. Don't
worry, guys. We're going to get into the meat of this. But first, the pleasantries.
Yeah, South Africa is a beautiful place and I really love it. But the government is... the government.
A dous?
Zuma said do us.
Can I say that?
Yeah, I guess you can.
What if I want to visit South Africa? Are they going to chop off my hands?
No, that's Singapore.
Ah, okay, good. All right, moving on. How to make money on a boat. Well, there is YouTube, obviously, and thankfully we are crowdfunded here by our patrons. Thank you so much. We are up to 96 patrons.
Yep.
On Patreon. So Patreon's a really cool platform for artists and performers like the bearded lady here. I will give you the breakdown. If you have 1 million views,
yeah,
you get $1,000.
So you have 3.6 million views to date. So you've made $3,600 in 2.5 years on YouTube.
Yes.
Let's retire!
Yay! So obviously I can't retire on $3,000. But there are a lot of other ways to make money on YouTube, so stay tuned and pop over to Vimeo to get the whole scoop. See what I just did there? So, yeah. So, and to do that, you either have to be really lucky or work really, really hard. So let me tell you a little bit about YouTube. And creating videos just in general.
Mm-hmm. I don't know anything about this. I want to learn as well. I
feel like the most important thing, one of the most important things on YouTube is to upload consistently, and that can be really difficult for a lot of reasons. When you're living,
you're sailing, I guess.
Yeah, well, you're sailing, number one, and there's going to be times where you get sick or something crappy happens in your life, and like your husband disappears, and you don't really feel.
My husband disappears?
Well, I mean. You are a bearded lady, so I could see how that could happen. Remember that guy walked up behind us and asked us ladies what we wanted?
We're having crab sandwiches and the guy comes from behind and he says, "Hey ladies, how's lunch?" And I'm like,
"Time to get my hair." I digress.
He's like, "That's not a lady."
I lost my thread. Where was I going with that?
YouTube.
Okay, so the most important thing is to upload consistently. If you think about YouTube as a billboard. You have a demographic of some type. Bless you. You have skis.
Askis mensen.
You have a target demographic, which if it's a sailing channel, you have boaters, and you can pitch that billboard space to different types of advertisers. And that's exactly what YouTube does in order to get AdSense money and AdSense revenue, which they give you a fraction of. So that's one way to make money with YouTube.
Let's talk about the best thing for creators since probably the start of the internet, Patreon, a way to support our creators by tossing a couple bucks in a virtual tip jar.
Another great way to make money on YouTube is as a content creator for Patreon. People that do a lot of different things, like they create music, they're
animations,
movies,
documentaries, underwater, some really nice things on.
Really cool stuff. Definitely go
creative people.
Very creative. So, I mean, yeah, this is obviously a plug for my own Patreon account, but really go in and search out Patreon. It's a really cool platform for artists.
It's very, very nice. I mean, I didn't even know of Patreon until I met Aubrey and she showed me Patreon. I started fooling around on it. There's some really, really nice people doing really nice, great stuff. And I mean, I want to support people that's doing stuff on there, really taking time. You can see putting in effort to create stuff that I want to see. You know.
Yeah.
Really nice.
So it's a way for people that are enjoying the things that us creators are putting out, that feel inspired by what we're doing and want to see more content coming. It's a way to help that keep coming. So for every video that goes out, say a pledger will pledge $5 a video. I put out 4 a month, so that's $20 a month. Some people pledge $1, some people pledge $25, $50. It all depends on their budget, what they're willing to give.
But they also get to see more. I think on Patreon you get much more information.
It's kind of like the same thing as like a Facebook feed, sort of. But it's private just to patrons, and so it's really interactive. The platform is really cool. So if you're a YouTube creator, if you're an artist, if you're a musician, check out Patreon, get an account. It's very cool. It's a very cool way to raise money for what you're creating, which is really cool. So if you're a creator, definitely check that out.
The V word, which has made a lot of my YouTube followers pretty upset. But this is a really wonderful platform to share more work and to make a little extra money, since YouTube doesn't really pay.
Vimeo is really cool. I talk a lot about Vimeo. I know you guys are tired of hearing about it, but that is a big part of the way that I am able to fund making these films. And so I am carrying around a camera almost 24/7, and a lot of that content kind of ends up on the cutting room floor, and that's a place, Vimeo is a place where I take that extra and put it out there. There's a lot of seasons that are on Vimeo that are not on YouTube, and some of that is because you can only see Vimeo if you're 18 and older because you need a credit card. Some of it's sensitive information, and some of it is just footage I didn't want to throw away, I wanted to share. There's no porn on Vimeo. I wish people would stop that. I keep getting these messages on Facebook. They're like, so can I check out your porn site? I'm like,
what are you talking about?
I'm like, what porn site are you talking about? I'm like, do I have like a doppelganger? Anyway, there's no porn on, well, there's porn on Vimeo. I'm just not in it, so.
Okay, so we've established maybe you're not a vlogger, a YouTuber, and you don't have a career in the adult film industry. What other ways are there to make money living on a boat?
Other than YouTube, there's a lot of ways to make money living aboard a sailboat. And that's kind of, that's what I wanted to talk about with you guys. There's a lot of times where I just put my head in my hands and I'm like, oh my gosh, Vimeo didn't make any money, YouTube's not making any money, and 5 patrons dropped off, how am I gonna keep doing this? And I always am able to fall back on knowing that there's so many jobs out here on the ocean that you can do to make a living and to be free. So
you can play stocks. I play stocks.
Oh my god,
Okay, so if you're anything like me, you're probably going, wait a minute, I'm leaving land to get away from the office. But just hang in there, we talk about a lot of ways to make money on a boat that isn't YouTube.
I used to be a stockbroker, and so I used to do that.
I wish you could see you miss the look on my face. I'm like, play stocks?
Stocks. I mean, you need the thing is, this is the thing. You want to be on a sail. I wanted to come on a sailboat and get away from the 9 to 5. I was tired of the 9 to 5. I'd been working. I wanted to get away from that. And being on a boat and going back into that, maybe virtually or from your laptop, kind of puts me back there, but that is an option that you can follow.
There's a lot of labor jobs out here that you can do.
So many.
I met a couple that lived in the Caribbean on their boat, and they started a business helping charter boats when they came in, because when you, and this is a whole nother thing, but when you charter a boat or you run a boat as a charter captain, you have a charter that's maybe Monday through Sunday, and then you have 3 hours to clean the boat and restock the boat for the next charter. And so there's this couple that started this business where the captain and the crew could call and say, hey, I've got a back-to-back charter, can you come in, can you provision my boat, can you wash the sheets, can you make the beds, I need this done in 3 hours. And so the husband and wife would split up, they'd get the list, they'd provision the boat, they knew all of the markets, and because in the Caribbean it's really hard to get like certain meats and certain vegetables and get the laundry done. So they would coordinate all of this, and they would get paid big bucks by these charter boats, and they had started their own business.
So I've got lots of advice on how to make money on a boat. We go on endlessly about all of the people we've met from all over the world that have found a way to make a living without having to give up their freedom.
The other guy I met was in St. Kitts, 22-foot boat, South African flag. That's why I went over to the boat. And this is this artist. He's making craft out of driftwood. Some of his work was in an art gallery in St. Kitts and in Nevis, making stuff from stuff that he's picking up. I can never do that. I'm not an artist, but that's how he lives.
Yeah, being an artist is helpful. I sell my photography. I sold a few paintings. They weren't great paintings, but people bought them. There's a lot of labor jobs too, like
boat work,
scraping the bottoms of boats.
I love that.
All right.
Go to Home Depot, buy yourself a little compressor for 80 bucks.
Or a hookah.
And a hookah pipe, and buy yourself on eBay regulator. I bought my whole setup for 110 bucks, and you can charge people good money to clean the bottom of their boats.
Nobody wants to scrub the bottom of their own boat.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love scraping bottom. You're in the bottom, nobody can speak to you. You're in the water. It's beautiful blue water, usually in the Caribbean. Sometimes you're in an anchorage, it's not that nice. But you're down there and you're cleaning the guy's boat. And
if you have any sort of mechanical skills, and
oh my god, sorry for interrupting you before I lose my train of thought. If you can do and work on refrigeration systems, you're in the pound seats. I always get to places and people don't know how to fix refrigeration systems on their boats, and if there's somebody that can fix it, everybody knows about it. And so that's a really big, that's a very big bonus if you can work on refrigeration systems.
I met a couple that bought a Sailboat sewing machine, and they taught themselves how to sew and started sewing canvas tops for people and made tons of money because canvas tops are so expensive. They just did it in the little thatched roof gazebo at the marina, and they just sew away and have a beer and talk to people. And I mean, there's so many things that you can do if you're just a little bit creative. Go down, take a vacation, ask people, see what people are complaining about on the dock, and you can find a solution for that. Everybody's on island time, so if you have any kind of go to you, you'll be a hot commodity down on the islands. Oh, that reminds me of the laundry boat in the Caribbean.
The laundry boat, we saw a laundry boat. And we saw a pizza boat. But these guys are selling pizza off the back of their boat and they're making a killing out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's so many ways to make money, and I know it's really scary to leave your job, and I know it's really scary to not have a definite plan, but just know that there's so many opportunities out there to make money while sailing, while living on a boat. And the other benefit is that it doesn't cost a lot to live on a boat. I mean, you can live really small. You don't have a mortgage. You don't have an electricity bill, and on and on. You're not paying the guy to mow your lawn. You don't have a car payment. You don't have so many things that you would have on land, cost-wise. So
yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
How much would you say? We just talked about this. What did I say that I live on per month? Was it $1,000?
$1,000.
Yeah.
For you and Bianca.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I used to be able to get away with about $500. Still $500 a month.
I did some research, and $500 a month per person is average for living expenses on a boat.
Sometimes less. And I'm the owner and the captain of the boat, and you know, it's dinghy fuel and it's money and it's for a beer here and there. But
it's a good life, though. You don't feel like, I feel like we spend so little, but I don't want for anything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's freedom chips.
Yeah, the more money I have, the longer time I have on the boat. So that's why I don't want to spend money. That's why I'd rather buy my food at the Stop and Shop. What other ways are there to make money? I met a couple that the wife is a doctor. She would go to work with the Red Cross in Africa for 4 months a year, and she'd make enough money to come back and give enough money for their sailing experience for the next 8 months. People that I met that
charter's a big one. I feel like charter's a really, really big one.
Day charters, weekend charters, long charters. They set up a website, and it's just kind of word of mouth, and it goes. Some people are successful, some aren't.
Yeah, there's a lot of word of mouth, but I mean, really, you could do one charter a month and make enough to live. I mean, Fred was telling us that he was doing like back to back to back to back charters, which I wouldn't personally want to do. I'd rather have less money and feel like I had more freedom.
If you have a captain's license, you can do boat deliveries.
Get your captain's license. You can do boat deliveries. That's some good money.
Yeah, I guess. You know, what my advice would be is, if you go and do it and you get yourself a boat and you don't have an income, just try and get enough money for 6 months. Have enough money for 6 months. You don't need that much, depending on how many you are, if it's your wife and your children, or if it's just young guy like myself. Get 6 months worth of income, and I promise you the sailing community will help out. And the second or the third month, you're gonna meet somebody that's gonna hook you up with somebody that needs someone, or some guy, or a delivery, or he needs a refit on his boat, or bottom paint, or whatever it's gonna be.
We're more likely to hire each other than outsource.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
absolutely.
Like, if I find another sailor that can fix my outboard, I'm not gonna take it into a shop.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna pay that other sailor.
Yeah. I was previous video with Aubrey, that I was the captain on a very nice luxurious boat before I had my boat, and the owner of that boat had me look into a project once on canvas on the whole boat, and we had gotten quotations from the best of the best in the United States and grand, and then I met this girl on a boat in Curacao, and she was doing it by hand, and we said, well, we'd much rather support her. And this guy had enough money to buy anyone. But he's a sailor. He's been voyaging for 15 years. And that's the mentality. He'd much rather pay somebody that can do it, which is a sailor that speaks the same language as the guy in the shop.
And the other thing is, too, a lot of your food you can get. Like Ross out there on Drumbeat, if you're watching, you catch your own fish, you have a bag of rice, and he teaches kite surfing. And he does a few charters here and there, and he just gets by. And you know, when there's not charters and there's not he's not instructing classes, he's eating fish, and if he's not catching fish, then he's on a diet. So many ways. There's a lot of ways to live this life and live a free life, and not in the monetary sense, but in the sense of your heart, to be free. As long as you can really wrap your mind around what you really need, not what you think you need. And that is a personal journey and voyage in your heart.
Yeah.
And we had talked about in a previous video about living on a boat that is the smallest boat that you could possibly feel comfortable on.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same thing with a budget. You kind of have to think about the smallest amount of money that you could be comfortable on.
It's amazing. My heart is really healed from a lot of things that I was struggling with throughout my life. From being a small boy, and stuff that you encounter throughout your life. Just being out here and being free and living off the land. And I remember when I started living like this and being free, when I ate something that wasn't good for my body, all of a sudden my body would tell me. But I've been eating that my whole life, but I never really knew that I paid attention to that, because I was so busy. I'm so not in tune. And people tell me, oh, you need to be in tune with your body. I'm like, what is that?
What does that even mean? Yeah.
Is that like some yogi type thing? You know, I'm not into that yin yang stuff. I mean, I don't know anything about that. And all of a sudden, it really is like that. And I want people to experience that too.
One of the biggest things, I think, one of the biggest lessons that I've learned, and the most difficult thing about sailing and living on a boat and doing passages, is learning how to sit with yourself. You know, when everything's quiet and there's nothing else to do, and all you're left with is your thoughts and where those thoughts go. And you can't get away from them. You can't read a book because you're nauseous. There's no TV because there's no more power. That's been a goal of mine and a personal journey, learning how to sit with myself in peace. And I think it's going to take a lot of time, but it starts right here on a boat on the ocean.
I remember coming out and making it work on a sailboat and living this life has really, really changed my life. Really amazing, for the better.
Yeah, and I would definitely agree with that. I think that the main point of this video on how to get by living on a boat is to just open your mind and open your heart, and doors will open. You just have to walk through them. You can't give up. There's going to be times when your bank account gets low, but you know, you're happy, and he's happy, and we're happy, and you get by, and everything's going to be okay. There's so much opportunity if you keep your heart and your mind open to it. Lots of ways, lots of ways. And if you guys can think of any other ways, please put them down in the comments below. Help us inspire people to live this life, let go, be free, and sail. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next week on Sailing with Lone Star.
Remember, don't be a doers.
Be lacquer. Make money living on a boat. Take one.
Take one what?
Take $1.
Did you guys see that? That's absolutely ridiculous.
Something about your face makes me want to drink. Take two.
Welcome back to Sailing with Lone Star. You haven't had an ad freaking.
Now you're doing the opening?
Is my heart okay for this video? I feel like that's not an appropriate thing for a man to ask. Is my hair okay for this video? Oh, should I? Why?
You can be more Lone Starry.
Okay, and cue intro.
Without my love for the ocean, I would be long gone by now.
Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And please, take a moment to think about our friends in Texas, Florida, and the Caribbean, and keep them in your heart and your thoughts and your prayers.